Alright, what's happening everybody? It's your man Akeem and welcome to today's blog. I'm here to give you my grades for the NFC West Division for their picks of this year's NFL Draft. I'm going to start with the San Francisco 49ers. They had a pretty decent draft, but I think they had an overreach pick with the seventh selection. They ended up choosing Aldon Smith, the defensive end from Missouri. He's a very versatile player, and versatility is a big time need in the defensive line for the San Francisco 49ers. He's a powerful player. At 6'4", 263 pounds, he still has enough time to bulk up just a little bit more and get to 270. He's a big, powerful player, and he's a tenacious pass rusher. I do like this kid, but I think he was a little bit overreached at the number 7 selection. I think they should have went with Blaine Gabbert, the quarterback from Missouri. But Coach Jim Harbaugh is a quarterback coach, and he does know how to develop a quarterback, just like how he developed Andrew Luck at Stanford. And they ended up choosing a quarterback in the second round with Colin Kaepernick from Nevada. He's a great player, and he has a fast arm. He throws a 93-mile-an-hour fastball baseball, and he's a great player. He's a tremendous athlete, and I do like his skill play. He's a great runner. He rushed for over 4,000 yards while passing for over 9,000 yards at Nevada. He's a tremendous player, and I do like this kid at quarterback. I think Coach Jim Harbaugh had in mind thinking that he could develop any type of quarterback, and he is a good project to work on. He's a very mobile quarterback, and I think he's a very good mobile quarterback, and I think he could be a good fit for the San Francisco 49ers. But I really think they should have flopped selections. I think they should have went with the quarterback first with their 7th pick and then go with the defensive end, because there's a lot of great defensive ends in this year's draft. The quality of the defensive end is a little bit stronger than the quarterbacks, and I really think they should have went with the quarterback first. But still, great selection. And in the 4th round, they ended up picking up Kendall Hunter, the running back from Oklahoma State. He can help Frank Gore get a couple breathers and have a little bit of playing time. He's a great athlete, fast kid. He's a little short at 5'7", but he's a great player, very fast, like I said, and he's a good cutback player, and I think he can fit well for the 49ers. And I do like their 6th round selection with Ronald Johnson, the receiver from USC. He's a reliable player, plus he could be of good use in the return as a return specialist for the Niners, even though they have Ted Ginn Jr. Both of them can complement one another. I think that was a good pick. So overall, I would have to give this team a C+. They had a pretty good draft, but like I said, I think they should have went with a quarterback first, then a defensive end in the 2nd round. But they had a little bit of a flip-flop. If they picked up Gabbert and then pick up a good defensive end in the 2nd round, I think I would have gave him at least a B. But a C+ is not bad. Good job for the Niners. Next, I'm going to talk about the Arizona Cardinals. They had a great draft. They picked up Patrick Peterson, the cornerback from LSU. Some people projected him as the #1 athlete overall in this year's draft. He's a great player, and I think he could work well opposite of Dominic Rodgers-Cromartie. I think these two players can be the best cornerback tandem in the NFL. He's a great athlete, great cover skills, great ball skills, and he's a fast kid. He could also do well in the return game as well for the Cardinals. They had a good selection there. And in the 2nd round, they picked up Ryan Williams, the running back from Virginia Tech. He's a quick, elusive player, and he runs well in the open field. Plus, he can catch some balls outside of the backfield. Last season, Arizona was last in the league in rushing yards, and having him in that depth chart, I think he could add more yardage and get up towards the rankings in the rushing yards. I think he can complement Chris Wells and Tim Hightower very greatly, because it will give them competition amongst one another, and they can have a decent rotation. But I think Williams can start right away over Beanie Wells and Tim Hightower. I think Williams was a great pick at the 2nd round. And in the 4th round, they picked up Sam Archer, the defensive end from Texas. He's a great athlete. He's a smart student. He was the Campbell Trophy Award winner, which is given to the National Student Scholar Athlete Award in football. He had a great year in football as well. He had 9 sacks, 17 tackles for loss. He's a great kid, very powerful, and I think he could do well at the defensive end. Now, they also picked up Anthony Sherman, the fullback from Connecticut. They added a little bit more help in the offensive backfield, having a great fullback who could be the lead blocker for the tailback. He's a great blocker, and he could also go out to the flats and catch a couple of balls. He's a great athlete. He led the way for Jordan Todman, the Big East Offensive Player of the Year. He's a great blocker, and I think he would be very reliable for the Cardinals in the running game. And I liked in the 6th round they picked up Quan Sturdivant, the outside linebacker slash inside linebacker from North Carolina. He's a versatile player. He could play both outside and inside, and I do like that selection. And in the 7th round, Larry Fitzgerald and Steve Breaston has a new teammate, and DeMarco Sampson from San Diego State. He's a great receiver, and he worked well with Vincent Brown on the other side of the field. He's a big kid, way over 204 pounds, and he runs a 4.440, and he had a very productive college football career. He has great experience, and I think Larry Fitzgerald and Steve Breaston will be happy to have him in this team. So overall, I would have to give this team a B+. They had a great draft, especially getting the value pick in Patrick Peterson. He's a valuable player, and I did like that selection. Now, I'm going to talk about the Seattle Seahawks next. They had a terrible draft. For most of their picks, I did not even have them in my watch list. Beginning with their first pick, James Carpenter, the guard from Alabama. He's a decent guard, but he is not first-round quality. I think they had a couple of other guards that they could have selected before him. That was a bad pick. And in the 3rd round, they picked up John Moffitt, the guard from Wisconsin. He's a great blocker, and he sustains his blocks. I think he was a decent pick, so I'm not going to hate on that. But there were a couple of other guards that I had over both of these players, like Rodney Hudson from Florida State and Clint Booling from Georgia. Both of them were great blockers. I just had them over them. So the first 2 selections were questionable. The round 3 selection with Moffitt was a decent pick, but Carpenter in the 1st round, that was a waste. And in the later rounds, they picked up Chris Durham in the 4th round, the wide receiver from Georgia. He had just over 1,000 yards in his college football career to combine as a receiver. He's a big kid. He does have the frame at 6'5", 214 pounds, but he didn't produce anything while he was at Georgia. That was a surprise pick. There were so many other receivers that they could have picked up for this team, and I think the Seahawks just went the wrong direction. But the only pick I did like was the KJ Wright pick in the 3rd round, the linebacker from Mississippi State. He's a tremendous athlete, and he plays sideline to sideline. He has great feet, and I think he could do well in the linebacking core for the Seahawks to complement Aaron Curry and Lofa Tatupu. Both of them are great players, and I think they have a good young linebacking team. Now, in the later rounds, they picked up a couple of corners, Richard Sherman from Stanford and Byron Maxwell from Clemson. And I was shocked that they picked them up because there were also a couple of better cornerbacks that they could have selected. These 2 were just bad picks for them, in my opinion, and overall I just did not like their draft. They picked a lot of players that I didn't even have them in my radar, and I was just shocked by it. So overall, I would have to give this team a D-. Yes, you heard correctly. They probably had the worst draft in the NFL. I was very disappointed in them. And last but not least, the St. Louis Rams. I really did like their draft. With their first pick, they picked up Robert Quinn, the defensive end from North Carolina. This kid is top 10 quality, and this was pretty much a steal for the St. Louis Rams. They got another great pass rusher to go with Chris Long and James Hall. I think all 3 of them could work well together and have a great rotation. They have an outstanding pass rusher. He doesn't have great cover skills, but he can get to the quarterback and cause problems in the line of scrimmage. I really like Quinn with their first pick. And then for the next 3 selections, they picked up a tight end and 2 decent receivers for Sam Bradford. In the 2nd round, they picked up Lance Kendricks, the tight end from Wisconsin. He has great hands. He's not a great blocker, but he has outstanding hands, soft hands, and good route running ability, and he can catch the ball from anywhere. I really like this kid from Wisconsin. And in the 3rd and 4th round, they picked up Austin Pettis from Boise State and Greg Salas, who I had as a sleeper for this year's draft. Greg Salas is the receiver from Hawaii, and both of these players, Salas and Pettis, have very productive college football careers. They're great receivers who caught over 1,000 yards receiving over the past 2 seasons. Now, I think Salas could be used more as a slot receiver, and Pettis can be used as a number 3 receiver. Pettis does not have top 10 speed, but he has great route running ability, and he has great hands. I really do like this kid from Boise State and Salas from Hawaii. I think both of them can complement one another. Now, with all of these young receivers in this Rams team, I believe Sam Bradford could find somebody who can step up and be their number 1 guy. They have so many young receivers, and I think one of these receivers in their team needs to step up this season. And in the later rounds, they picked up Jamel Hines, the safety from Ohio State. the safety. He's pretty good, and I thought that was a decent pick. But they also went with a couple of other cornerbacks that I didn't really have them under my radar for this year's draft. They were a little bit outside of the top 20 of cornerbacks, but they picked up a couple of great offensive weapons for Sam Bradford. So overall, I would have to give this team a B, solid B. They had a great draft, and I really like this team. Now, for tomorrow's video, I'm going to talk about the NFC South teams and give you my grades for them. Thank you for watching today's vlog. I'm your man, Akeem McCall. Be easy.